we are good. We are good to go. Does my reactions, are they working? No. It's like maybe. No, that's not gonna work. The camera's working, and that's okay. I can't ask for the world. All right. So the crazy part is I ran a test stream before I even started streaming. I ran a test stream to see if everything worked, and of course it worked. But of course now it doesn't. As soon as I hit go live, of course it doesn't work. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. SQL Dev DBA here, and again, Morse 314 en la casa. Type error dev en la casa. Great to see you. Type error dev says, I'm excited to announce I'm 4 weeks into my first college class. I'm going for a bachelor's of science in data analytics. 57 credits transfer from my military experience. That is fantastic. That is fantastic news. Congratulations. I hope everything goes really well. I'm sure it'll go amazing. If you need anything, if you just want to bounce ideas, if you need help with anything in particular, let me know. Except for differential equations. I do not want, I passed that class with a D, probably because the professor felt bad for me. That's the only class I won't help you with, differential equations. Anything else, I'm up for it. I'm up for it. Okay, so what are we doing today? Today's going to be an interesting stream. I always open up Brent Ozar's weekly emails with his weekly links. He always has a ton of cool stuff. A lot of the stuff that you've seen on this stream is from his weekly links. Things like the IMDb database. We did like 3 streams in English and in Spanish on the IMDb database. I have those. If you're watching this on YouTube, probably you'll see the links come up right here if I remember to put it here. So if I did, things are going well for me today. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that we use on this stream comes from Brent Ozar's weekly emails. Like he has suggestions on different datasets to check out, or just different ideas altogether. And Type Error Dev says, so go to you for all math classes. Got it. If you want to take the classes over and over again, you can feel free to come to me for all the math classes. No, I loved calculus. I loved mechanics, statics, and dynamics. My degree was in computer engineering with a specialization in robotics. But I absolutely love like electrical engineering stuff. Logic circuits was a good one. Circuit analysis was another good one. So yeah, if you want to keep taking your classes over and over again, you can feel free to come over for differential equations, and I will do my best to make sure that that's the case. So today's stream is going to be based on the Brent, as you can see in the title. I'm sure if you're on Twitch, probably right there. Brent Ozar's salary survey results. So what is the salary survey? It's something that Brent, as far as I know, has done it since at least 2017, maybe before that. But what I'm seeing is 2017 and back. And I remember I started taking it roughly 2019 or so. That's when I started actually contributing to it and just knowing that it exists overall. I've followed Brent for like more than 10 years now. But that's the last time I remember the first time I remember taking it. So the cool thing about this survey is he lets anyone participate, and at the end he shares all of the results with everybody. So you can literally go and download this data set right now and follow along with me. In fact, let me send a link over here in chat to make sure that y'all can do that. Let me go grab it. Okay, so the results for this round are right here. If you're on Twitch, you can see it right in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, I'm gonna have all the links, all the chapters along the bottom here, so you can feel free to breeze through to a particular chapter if you want to. All the links, all the files that I generate, all the SQL scripts and stuff like that are all gonna be in the description below. But not only does he have this year's survey results, he also has all prior years. It's in the sort of archive And if you click the link that I just put in the chat, the first line says our annual data professional salary survey. That's where you go to get all the archive information. And he says in this link, it's the 8th year. Let's actually hop in there. But first, let's do a quick gear check, tech check. I don't even know what I call it anymore. I'm going to show you my keyboard and mouse. That's what it's called. All right, so what do we got? Keychron K5 Pro today. Fixed that camera because it was actually my network. It wasn't the camera. Last stream it was a bit stuttery. And this time it's not, and it's because of the Wi-Fi network. This camera is actually a Wi-Fi camera. This camera is an older iPhone. It's an iPhone 12. I talked about that with someone recently, that I have a couple iPads and iPhones that I use as cameras. So if you're looking for cameras and you have iPhones, whether it's your personal iPhone or just an old iPhone that you have, iPhones have really, really good camera quality, and you can use programs like I think I use Droid Cam with this one, and it works out really, really well. Because I said that, my cameras are probably just gonna go crazy and haywire, but we'll try our best to stick in there. Anyway, Keychron K5 Pro. This is a low profile model, so you can see that the keys are really, really low profile, and we have red switches today. Mouse is the LoFree Wavy chips mouse. It's a very odd mouse. As you can see, the design is a bit odd, but it's surprisingly comfortable. I really like it. I like the feel. Just ergonomically it makes sense, even though it may not look perfect. All right, that's it for the tech check. Let's just hop in. And so what we see here is the first page that I have in the links below, and it's the salary survey results page. Now, to download it, all you really have to do, I'm on my PC, but if you're on Mac, you can still download this. It's an Excel file that comes out. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this into a CSV file first, so that I can share the CSV file, and then I'm also going to import it into SQL Server. And if time allows, we'll analyze the data in Power BI. So let's get started, because we have a lot to do and very little time to do it, because I want to head over to Epcot in about 2 hours or so. I want to head over to Epcot. It's been a while since I've been, and so I want to enjoy the afternoon with my family there. So let's take a look at Loop first. So what I'm going to do is just do a quick project plan using Microsoft Loop. You're welcome to use any applications like Notion, Trello, Jira. If you have lots of money, you can use Jira, that sort of thing. Or if your job pays for it, feel free to use Jira too. All right, so what we're going to do is just add a little bit of color to this here. We're just going to say analyzing Brent Ozar's yearly salary survey data. And if the music is too loud, please let me know, because it's here in my headphones and I hear it, but I want to make sure that y'all don't hear it too loud over my voice or something. So feel free to let me know. Also, if you're in the chat and you want to change the lights behind me, things like exclamation police, exclamation white, exclamation blue, exclamation green, that sort of stuff will probably work on these lights behind me. Feel free to give it a try. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you want me to add any particular color, that sort of stuff too. Okay, analyzing Brent Ozar's yearly salary survey data with SQL Server, Power BI, and Oracle Live SQL. That's going to be the secret one that we'll do. Well, it's not a secret anymore, but I want to make sure that even if you don't have SQL Server available to you, that you can still use stuff like Oracle's Live SQL. That's really important to me. Here's a link in the chat right there. I'll also put that in the description in the YouTube video below. So I want you to be able to use this in Live SQL. Live SQL does not require any installs, does not require any downloads. It just works on your browser. So it's a really cool tool, and I want you to be able to use it if you need to. Okay, so the goals. import the data into SQL Server, generate live SQL code for inserts, generate a CSV, and hopefully Power BI analysis. All right, no team members this time. It's just gonna be me, right? So maybe just SQL dev DBA, all roles. So we'll just call myself an architect here. I like calling myself an architect. Makes me feel important. Core working hours. Yeah, I'm gonna delete that column there. Okay, and the deliverables. We're gonna download the survey data. That's deliverable 1. Then we're gonna review the data as CSV. Actually, we're gonna review it as an Excel file. We're going to create a CSV for import. That's not how you spell for an import. What's next? We are going to analyze CSV. We're going to import CSV into SQL Server. We are going to hopefully create live SQL scripts, and then analyze in Power BI. Let's see, do we have everything? Download it, review it as an Excel file, create the CSV, analyze the CSV, just review the CSV maybe. Review and confirm CSV. I don't like really looking at CSVs too much. Import the CSV into SQL Server, create the live SQL scripts, analyze it in Power BI. Maybe we should analyze it in SQL Server too. In SQL Server with a special guest star, ChatGPT. With ChatGPT. There we go. They're all assigned to me, which means I'm going to get like 50,000 notifications. But if you have a team, so I have a small tenant and a small team here at SQL Dev DBA, which is just 3 different versions and 3 different emails for me. But I can assign this to like different people in my team, and they'll all get a notification for it, which is pretty cool. We actually have a stream a while ago where we did this very thing. We just went through what a data project looks like, and if that interests you, at the top, if you're on YouTube, at the top you're gonna see a card come out with that video. But it was a fun video because we got to sort of do Scrum meetings, how those go. We got to do story points and how to decide story points with things like, well, I can't find them right now, but we used cards, like playing cards, to determine story points for different exercises. So it was a lot of fun. Again, videos up there. Feel free to give it a watch if you want to know how a normal data project works. All right, and then the relevant links. Yeah, that's where we're going to put Brent Ozar's salary survey link. So let's grab that. And then we can put it in loop. So when I add it here, it's going to show the website. There it is. So pretty simple, but I just want to have a checklist so that I can confirm that we did everything. Let me go ahead and delete this. Delete this row and delete this row. And I think we're good to start. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna simulate me downloading it, but the reality is I've already downloaded it. So let's try to see if we can. Oh look, no lag. That's great. Well, a little bit of lag, just a tiny amount. Okay. All right. So download, and as you can see, it just opens up an Excel file right here. So what you're gonna want to do is just download this instead. I've already downloaded it. You can see the download banner here at the top, and you can also just say like file export, that sort of thing. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up in Excel. And here it is. Now, I do have this one right here, but what I like to do is actually just make a copy of it and just save that as something like the original. That way, if I mess something up, I always have this like do not touch type copy, and I can use that instead. So the first thing we're going to do is, of course, open it up with Excel. If you're on a Mac, you can still open it up with like Numbers or something like that. Can't upload or download your changes because your cache credentials have expired. Of course they have. All right, so as you can see, Brent has a sort of link over here to go to his page on it. We're not gonna leave that in there in the final version, right? The CSV, you can only export one sheet to a CSV. And so what we're gonna do is just copy this data into a brand new sheet and then export that into the CSV. Then you can see here Brent's licensing information. Again, he shares all of this stuff with all of us, so it's pretty great. Huge thanks to Brent here. I should be able to do a shout out because Brent is on Twitch. So if you haven't checked out his channel, please feel free to check out his channel. The link is right here, twitch.tv /Brent Ozar. He usually does his like office hours kind of stuff, where he just goes in, answers lots of questions, and then see you later. But I always try to catch it during the day because it's a lot of fun to just be in the chat. And then he has a bunch of he's on YouTube, he's on TikTok, and a bunch of other social media platforms as well. All right, so again, super huge thanks to Brent for sharing this with us and for just organizing it all together, because it gives us a lot of cool data. As you can see, there are quite a few entries here. I did not expect this much, actually. That's wow. 13,840 or so entries. That's really, really cool. And so we're definitely gonna have lots of cool data to explore here. All right, so how do I format it to be able to consume it with SQL Server, Live SQL, etc.? Well, what I'm gonna do is actually take this table here, and I'm just gonna see if I can do a select all of just the grid. It looks like I can. So I'm gonna copy that. We couldn't copy the content to the clipboard because it's in use by another application. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna open a new sheet here and just call it raw data. And what I'm gonna do is actually paste it, but using Control-Shift-V so that it only pastes the values. Let's see if that works. No. Does just regular pasting work? No, no, it doesn't. Let's try that again. Okay, I think I missed copying it. So I'm gonna go to row 2 and just Control-Shift-V. And there we go. As you can see, no formatting, nothing special. It just has the raw data. Let me see if I can go ahead and sign in. I'm gonna change the camera a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can sign in here so that banner goes away. And if you're watching this video, that means that I've already completed the CSV. And so if you're watching on YouTube, you could just, there's where the link is going to be for the CSV file. So you won't really have to go through this. I am sacrificing my time so that you don't have to. Let's see. Where are we going with this? We are going to sign in. You can tell I'm a professional because I'm well prepared. Okay. All right. So I guess I have to improve myself. Everything's just going wrong. Okay, hopefully that worked. Or not, maybe it didn't work. No, now it's my network connection that has decided to not work. So I think that's more stable. Let's see. I think we're okay here. Just no fun right now. Okay, there we go. Now we should be okay. Can I use Excel? Connection lost again. It looks like my network is just like not having a good blast right now. Okay, there we go. All right, so hopefully that doesn't become prominent. If it does, might have to stop, but I'm gonna try to power through this. All right, so we copied the top rows as well, right? Copy them to the clipboard and then paste them in the raw data using Control-Shift-S. That way we do not have to play around with the formatting or anything like that. It's just gonna be exportable. Exportable is a real word? Yeah, we can use that. It's gonna be exportable to a CSV. So as you can see, here's the top rows. I just pasted them with Control-Shift-F. Control-Shift-V. Again, I'm a professional, I promise. All right, so now what I like to do is when I'm working with like anything that I'm going to import into SQL Server or really anything, I like to remove spacing. So survey year, for example, I'm going to go ahead and remove the space from that. Timestamp looks okay. Salary USD looks okay. Postal code, primary database. Just check these columns out and make sure that there's no spaces, no special characters, that sort of thing. And as you can see, the rest of this is absolutely fine. We're going to be able to use it without any sort of issues. So I think we're okay here. Let's check out the data just a little bit and just make sure that we don't see anything crazy. For example, timestamps. This looks like Stardate. Like I expect to see like Captain Picard Stardate 45671.71. So what are we going to do here? We're going to go back and just see how this data is in the original form. And you can see right here that the timestamp is correct here. It's just when we copied it as a raw value, that's when things went a little bit haywire. And so here you can see salary is okay. The postal code is okay. Primary database servers are okay. The years are all right. Everything else looks pretty good here. No problem here. Yeah, all this stuff looks really good here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if we can sort of change this to where it's a proper date, like a short date. Does that work? It sure does. See how that works? Let's see if we can change it to a long date as well. Tuesday, January 14th. I don't like that one. So let's just do short date. And we're going to highlight the whole column and make that a short date too. And there we go. Now we're good to go. Now we can see all of these short dates. Honestly, for me, it doesn't really matter the time that folks did this. I just really care about the date, like how, let's say, for example, how many entries per day, how many entries per week, etc. All right. So I think we're good here. What I'm going to do is save this. And then I'm just going to hit File, Export, or Save As, I guess save a copy. And I'm going to change the format here to CSV, comma, delimited. And maybe with the UTF-8, you can also use this one right here. So I'll just try using the standard CSV with comma delimited and see how that goes. And I'm just going to say this is underscore import. That way I know it's an import file. All right, the selected type does not support workbooks that contain multiple sheets. This it's just telling you it's just going to save the first one and that's it. Or sorry, the current sheet that you're on, that's what's going to be saved to it. All right, so at this point, if I get the CSV saved successfully, I'm going to stop interacting with the CSV inside Excel. Excel does not like me. Excel wants me to lose my job, and therefore I do not want to interact with the CSV file with Excel. I'm just going to go ahead and close this out, back away slowly, and now I have my import CSV. I am never going to open this up with Excel again. Let me show you why. I'm going to copy this file and I'm going to paste it. And I'm just going to say this is the CSV, but I'm just going to go ahead and name it corrupted already. I'm just going to go ahead and name it corrupted. Why? Because as soon as I open this with Excel, and I tell it, it's like it already wants to do stuff. See, I just opened it. It's like, hey, I'm going to help you by corrupting this file. I'm going to remove the leading zeros. I'm going to convert a bunch of different stuff, and then you'll be left with a garbage file that doesn't really make sense and you won't be able to import. At least that's been my experience throughout my career. Not sure about yours. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that corrupted file. And now we have the untarnished version here of this CSV. I'm going to right click it. And what I will encourage you to open it with is Notepad++ or any other text editor. That is absolutely fine. And here is what we have. We have a CSV file. As you can see, it's separated by commas. If you'd rather, which most of the time I'm a fan of this, if you'd rather export it instead of with commas as your delimiters, maybe something like a vertical pipe or tab, which is these are a lot less common, then what you would do is you would have to change your language settings on your actual computer so that Excel can know that it needs to export the CSV as like a vertical pipe CSV or a tab delimited CSV. That's something I've been known to do as well. Not on stream, I don't think, because it usually goes a little haywire until I like Google or Stack Overflow how to solve that problem. But anyway, we're good to go. It looks like this CSV is good. Now, I want to draw your attention to this record right here, the one I have highlighted. It says Azure SQL DB, any flavor, comma, Cosmos DB. Again, that comma is going to interfere with our data import, right? Because it's a comma separated file, and this is a comma, but it's one value. It's just saying, hey, I work with Azure SQL DB and Cosmos DB. So what do? Well, we don't have to do anything because luckily Excel recognized that there was a comma in this value. And if you look, it actually has double quotes at the beginning and end of this value. We just need to tell SQL Server when we import the file, we need to tell SQL Server, hey, use the double quotes. And when you see a double quote, just know that all the commas inside of those double quotes are not delimiters, they're just text. So that's great that it already did this for us. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't recognize it. And so I'm very happy to see that it already did that. Okay, so I think we're done downloading and reviewing. Download the survey data, check. Review as Excel, check. Create the CSV for import, check. And review and confirm the CSV, check. So what's left? Let's go ahead and import this CSV into SQL Server. Let's see, are we good on ads? I don't know how long I've been babbling. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. I'm not getting any warnings. We've only been streaming for half an hour, so we should be good. Okay. Let's see. So let's go ahead and import the CSV into SQL Server. To do that, I'm just going to spool up SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm logged into 2 servers. MicroPC 2 is actually one that I just did a video on how to install SQL Server, but I did it in Spanish. If you speak Spanish and you want to see me install SQL Server, it's super fun. Then you can go ahead and click on the link up above here if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're still on Twitch and you want to see that video, just head over to my YouTube channel and you can see the install video. It's in Spanish. The cool thing is I just got this delivered. This, I don't know, where can I put it? Yeah, right there. That's fine. Just got this delivered. This is the device that I use. Let me see. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's better to have it on camera. This is the device I use. Probably shouldn't have whatever. These are the micro PCs that I use for my SQL Server. So I already have 2 of these, and I just got a 3rd one installed. This is about $120 on Amazon or on Woot. And this is what I run my SQL servers on. I know you can use like Azure and stuff like that, but I don't feel like paying a monthly fee. I already have an Azure SQL Server. It's I pay about 14 cents on it. But I have a terrible story about how I imported like 1 million records of weather data. Got charged $150 for it, and then proceeded to panic delete all the records. So I still had to pay the $150, but I had no data at the end of the story. So yeah, not a huge fan of Azure SQL as far as like for personal use. When it's someone else paying for it, I'll gladly use it, no problem. But when it's me, I'm sort of cautious about it. All right, enough babbling. Let's import the file. Okay, so microPC2 is again where the new one that I just installed is. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in microPC1 because that's where all the rest of my data is. Now, do we have anything? Do we have any databases that we can put this in? I try to do like one database per stream so that I can back up that database and share the backup file with you all. So I think we're just gonna do one new database. Let's right click on new database, and we're gonna name this one Brent Ozar Salary Surveys, or just survey. I always like to give ownership of my databases to SA. SA cannot get fired. SA cannot win the lottery. SA cannot leave. SA is disabled. It's a permanent user on my SQL Server, basically. It's disabled. I highly encourage you to use SA as the owner for databases because, again, SA doesn't need really a password. It's always disabled and it can always own. It's like a permanent user. So the only thing I would change here, if I were you, is I would put this database on a different drive. I only have one drive on this particular server. I'm working on getting, I actually already have them, but I'm working on getting basically additional drives for each server. And if that were the case, I would gladly put this database on the other drive. You do not want databases on your operating system drive. I just happen to have them here because it's the only drive I have on this machine. All right, so it's going to automatically name these database files Brent Ozar Salary Survey. I'm going to go to the options, and the only thing I'm going to change here in the options for now is just changing the recovery model, not the mode, but the model to simple. To simple. Why? Because I don't need to take backups of this database more than one time like a day, or more than one time a week maybe. If I needed to take backups of all of the transactions that are occurring like every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes for high availability or just disaster recovery purposes, then you can leave full. Otherwise, if you leave the full but you don't set up your transaction log backups, all you're gonna do is grow your grow your transaction log, and because you're not backing it up, it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I leave it in simple, and that's really all I changed. There's a couple other settings that you can go through if you want to, but if you're just gonna be doing the same thing we're about to do, which is just analyzing the data, you should be good to go with just this. I'm gonna hit OK. It's gonna create the database, and I'm gonna refresh, right click and refresh these. And now we'll see Brent Ozar Salary Survey right here. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna say tasks, and I'm gonna say import data. Now I wanna make sure that I do not have this file open because it might have a sort of a conflict of ownership. SQL Server Management Studio sometimes likes to be the only one touching the file, and if I have it open in Notepad++, it might fail. So I get to the wizard, and the first thing I'm going to do is change the data source to be a flat file source. I'm going to look for the file. And as you can see, there's nothing here, even though it's supposed to be. What I'm going to do is change this to CSV, and I'm still in the wrong one, I think. Let me just make sure here. There we go. There we go. Now I see the data professional salary survey responses. I'm going to hit open. And now I'm just going to go through a couple things. First, the format is delimited. It automatically recognized that, which is good. But the text qualifier, that is what's going to allow me to shove those values into the same column, even if they have commas inside of it. Let me see if I can show you a preview of that done, of the data before I do that. Okay, right here. You see this whole other databases? You see how some of them say Azure SQL DB any flavor and then Cosmos DB in the employment status? As far as I know, I've only been working since I was, I guess, 16 or so, a little bit earlier than that, but I don't think Cosmos DB is an employment status. So again, we took care of that by ensuring that SQL, or by ensuring that Excel exported the CSV with double quotes around it. So here's where we need to make sure it uses that. I'm gonna go back to general, and I'm gonna say the text qualifier is a quote, just like that. And then when we go back to preview, here we go. Now we can see that the comma was included as part of the data value, not as the next column or a delimiter for the column. So we are good to go now. We are good to go here. So I'm going to go to columns, and I'm just going to check things out, make sure it looks good. Here, if it didn't automatically recognize it, here's where you would force it to say, hey, this is a comma delimited file. And also the row delimiter is a very interesting one. Some files, for some reason, will be generated with just a CR or just an LF. And so this right here tells me that it's automatically recognizes it as CR and LF. For those of you who are not aware of those and what they mean, back in the old days, we used to use typewriters, and the carriage was that big hunk of thing that had the ink on it that would type out the letters onto the paper. I'm using very technical terms here, right? Hunk, ink, that sort of stuff, but that was the carriage. And so when you reached the end of the line, you had to return the carriage over to the left, the ching type of noise, right? And then the line feed was just feeding the next line. Sometimes that was automatic by hitting the enter key, but sometimes you had to sort of feed using the roller or something. This isn't the history channel. Just in case you're ever curious about where the CR and LF comes from, it's carriage return and line feed. I'm sure there's like a how it's made video on YouTube or something like that. Let me know if you find any, because I'd love to see those. Anyway, column delimiter is a comma, and that's good. All the data looks good right here. All the data looks good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to advanced. And here's where I would encourage you to treat this as a staging area, like a decontamination zone. Don't import this data and expect to use it in production and all that good stuff already. Take a beat and just import this into a sanitation area, a cleansing area, if you will. We call those staging tables. And what I would do here is just make sure that the columns are all of the same data type, varchar, which is the most accepting one, maybe nvarchar if you have special characters. So I'm going to try to put this as just a string, but I'm going to use, let's see, maybe I should use a Unicode string. This would be nvarchar in the destination. And then I'm going to change this to 1000. I don't think anything's going to be bigger than 1000, but it's very possible. Here is where a lot of people, when I interview them and I ask them to import a CSV into SQL Server, here's where a lot of people stumble. They'll go through, they won't check this. Everything defaults to whatever it says. You can even click suggest types if you want, and it'll scan the file and suggest data types. But people will usually go ahead and just import it, and then they'll reach like truncation errors, they'll reach conflict of data type errors, and they sort of like freeze. Sometimes it's the nerves, sometimes they're just a little bit nervous. But at that point, that's when I start asking, can you solve this? And if you can't, that just tells me you don't have a lot of experience with importing data into CSV. Akasi, hello, good evening. I hope you are well. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. We're checking out the Brent Ozar salary survey, and we're about to import the data into SQL Server. So again, this part, if you're new to this is where I would pay a bit more attention, because of the fact that a lot of people stumble this when I interview them, and I want to make sure that you succeed in that, right? I want to make sure you don't get caught off guard with all the different errors. I want to make sure that you do this proactively instead of reactively. So again, since I'm creating a staging table, I'm going to go ahead and just give this value 1000, a length of 1000. If you feel that you really don't know the data and maybe you expect like super long characters, you can give this 4000 instead. and that's absolutely fine. This is just a decontamination zone table that we're building. All right, and then you have to go through and do this for every single one. And as you can see, there's quite a few columns here. I wish there was a way. There is a way. I wish there was a way. There is a way. What I'm going to do is click on survey year, which is the first column, and I'm going to hold shift and click on counter, which is the last column. And here is where I get to define the type for every single one. So I'm going to say this is a Unicode string, DTWSTR, and the width, I'm going to say it's 4,000. Maybe, no, I said 1,000. So let's just meet in the middle and say 2,000. All right, so we are all good. Now, if I look at these individually, I can see all of them are now Unicode strings of 2,000 characters in width. All right, so we're just going to preview it again, make sure it looks good. Type error dev says clutch tip right there. Yeah. It was learned out of necessity, but again, don't get caught off guard with this. And at least if you forget, just know that this is how to easily solve that, so you don't waste any time, especially when you're interviewing with me. Again, for me, when I interview folks, all I look for is really muscle memory. You know, your resume says you've been working with SQL Server for 5 years. Cool. Let's see. Let's see if that's the case. Your resume says you can ride a bike. Here's a bike. Please ride it to here, and we'll see. It's all muscle memory. So I think we're good. Let's go ahead and hit next. Now it asks us to choose a destination. Here it is right here. We're going to use the OLEDB provider for SQL Server. There's also this OLEDB driver for SQL Server, which you can use. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to use this bottom one here, and I'm going to use a special user and password. All right, and we should be good to go. I think it logged in. All right, fantastic. Akasi says, well, I am just the query guy. Yeah, that's cool. But, you know, if you want to play around a little bit, Akasi, I'm actually going to do, because I know you work with Oracle sometimes, I think, as well. Akasi says, the query guy that can do stuff in BI, Tableau, and Excel. Yep, just the query guy, right? Just the query guy. So I'm actually going to be exporting this out to Live SQL as well. I'm going to try to see if I can export it to Live SQL for anyone out there who does not have SQL Server at home, doesn't have the resources for it, or whatever the case may be, and you still want to practice SQL Server at home. We're going to use Live SQL, which is the link for it is right there. I'm also going to go ahead and just export a create statement for the table and insert statements for the data within the table, so you can go ahead and practice. And that will be included in all of the links that I provide, or all the files that I provide, which if you're watching on YouTube will be below. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rename this table a little bit. Or should I just leave it? Should I just leave it? Yeah, let's just leave it. We'll create a brand new table at the end. So here's where you could change the name of the table if you wanted, right here. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to go ahead and preview just to make sure our data doesn't look all crazy. And it doesn't. It looks good, even those dates that we fixed. So I'm just going to hit next. And then next. And let's see if it runs. Akasi says, great. I'm not on my employer anymore, so no more AWS stuff. Oh, I was more on Postgres, says Akasi as well. Okay, yeah. Postgres, I barely work with. If you're interested in Postgres, actually the person who provided this data set for us, Brent Ozar, he has a site called smartpostgres.com. Let's see if I can get it. Smartpostgres.com. I think that's the website right there. Let's see if we can go to it here. Yes, where he shares basically similar information to what he does for SQL Server. He also has smartpostgres.com. So yeah, if anyone is looking for Postgres resources, Smart Postgres is a fantastic resource. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch others as well. That's just the one I know about, because again, I don't really know much about Postgres, but I do follow Brent and his resources. All right, hey, we are good to go. 13,842 records transferred, so we are good. Akasi says language we used was more Postgres. Lovely. Yes. Hey, I like Postgres because it's free and it's open source. And you can use it in production. I just happen to specialize in SQL Server and Oracle, so I've never had a need that or a problem that Postgres solves for me. But if I have time, I'd love to get into it. A lot of folks around me and in this space use Postgres, so it's definitely good to learn. Definitely good to learn. Okay, so we are good to go. Now we should have a table here called Data Professional Salary Survey Responses 2025 Import. The best table name I've ever done in my life. So now what we're going to use, again, we use this as sort of a sanitation area, a data cleansing area, decontamination zone, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're doing here. And what we're going to do now is build a table that has the data types that we're actually going to store, right? So what I'm going to do is leave this open, but I'll build a brand new query and I'll right click on the top here and just create a new vertical tab group. And now I get to see the data here on the left, but I also get to create a script here on the right using the same screen. And I'll have to sort of flip back and forth. So let's go ahead and create a table. We're going to say create table. And then we'll name this dbo.brent. No, the database is already Brent Ozar salary survey. So we'll just say salary survey results 2025. Because this is the 2025 version, and I want to see if I can do, Cussie says be right back. Cussie says I'm not a specialist, I just picked up some queries and played around. Too much time enough to be the guy, and if no one else could put the data. Yeah, and again, I did not study stuff, I just try stuff and get it done. That's fantastic. Accidental developers, accidental DBAs, etc. are really some of the best kind in my opinion. All right. So what we're going to do is create this table using the data types that we think are going to be correct. So there's actually ways that you can just check this on the fly so you don't run into any issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume, which sometimes is okay, sometimes it isn't. Here's the survey year. I'm going to keep all the column names the same. The survey year, I'm going to say that's an integer, maybe even a small int, but the cool thing is we can actually check the data types right here. We can check the data types to make sure that they fit before we even push the data in. So I'm going to say where. No. So there's two ways to do this. The first way is you can just remove the top 1000, which is what I'm going to do here, but you can cast this as an int as survey year. Okay, and they all cast. What if it didn't though? What if I use something like tinyInt? tinyInt, I believe, only goes up to 999. So this should fail. And there it is. It says, hey, it's overflowing the tinyInt value. So how do we allow the results to come in even if they don't convert correctly? How do we check? So what we would do is called try cast. If you say try cast or try convert instead of just cast, what it'll do is say, hey, I'm going to try to convert it for you. And if I don't convert it successfully, it's going to be returned as null. So as you can see, every single one of my survey year values is a null. So I would not be able to use tinyInt for this. I probably could use small int, and small int will cover it. But the reality is I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I'm not super bothered by using int versus tinyInt versus small int. The only ones I really care about on a day-to-day basis are usually int versus big int. Big int is usually what I'll use for things like keys for a table, or just really, really large numbers, because int does run out after a while. So when you have a table with like billions of records, you might want to try big int instead of just regular int. So, all right, let's take a look. Now, one of the things that you can do is also isolate any records that do not convert correctly, right? So if I want to isolate those, what I can do is I can actually say, hey, show me all the records that would not convert into a tinyInt. So if I go here, and I say where TriCast of survey year as tinyInt is null, it will return all of the records that do not successfully convert. You can still see them. It will return them. It's just letting you know based on this where clause that it's not going to be able to convert them for you when you do convert. So survey year is okay. I'm not going to do this with every single one. I'm just going to go ahead and hope everything works, and then we'll address it if it doesn't. So let's do timestamp. Actually, what we can do is just copy all of these columns here and paste them. And now we have a comma, and we should be good. All we need to do is add data types to every single one of these, right? Let's see. Can we... Nope, that's the wrong one. Can we align this? All right, there we go. Now, I know there's going to be some people watching going leading commas. Well, sorry. This is a free webcast, and so you're going to have to deal with my leading commas. Timestamp. That's just going to be a date because we don't have time, and we can save the space there. Again, I'm not super worried about the space, but we don't have the annoying like 0.00000 for hours, minutes, and seconds. We just don't need them. There's no time to store here. The original file did have time, and so if you want to store those and you want to analyze that for some reason, go for it. I'm not going to. All right, for salary USD, these all seem to be integers, as we can see. But I like to do anything that I'm working with like currency or money. I always like to use decimal. I don't like to use money. That has rounding issues as far as, well, from my experience, I do see rounding issues whenever I use money. So I like to use the decimal data type. It's something that when I worked for a certain cartoon mouse, that cartoon mouse taught me to only use decimal, not money. Postal code. Oh no, we're in country, so we'll just do nvarchar. Let's do 200 for that one. We'll still going to be a bit generous. Okay, postal code. Postal code. If you're in the U.S., I know you're leaning towards using integer, but we can see right here, United Kingdom. There's letters here. Canada, letters. Lots of other countries, letters. All right. Kate Martinez 915. Thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Hope you are doing very, very well today. All right, postal code. So this is an issue, right? Because even if you're in the US, there's certain states in the Northeast, there's Puerto Rico, there's the Virgin Islands, those use zeros, leading zeros. And so if you want to represent those properly, you should be using an nvarchar or just a varchar at least instead of an integer for zip codes. You can also technically pad it. You could still use an integer and pad it when you represent, but the reality is if you're a worldwide organization and you want to be a worldwide organization, just use varchar or nvarchar for your zip codes or your postal codes. That's why Brent put postal code here, is because the world isn't the US, and so everywhere else is just known as a postal code. So that's what I would suggest is exactly what you see here. Okay, we do have an ad break coming up. Twitch is sort of yelling at me. So let's go ahead and take a quick ad break. If you're subscribed, you're going to get to stay and play GeoGuessr with me. We're going to play a bit GeoGuessr, and technically speaking, Twitch might not give you an ad. I don't know all the mysterious ways that Twitch works. So we're going to give 3 minutes for an ad break. We're going to play some GeoGuessr, and then we will be right back to continue our import. All right, so let's give it a shot. And of course, things don't look good for my Stream Deck. I have to see how that goes. I should be able to run it right now. Let's see. No, it's only letting me run a 1 minute for some reason. Man, this is the worst. This is the worst. All right, I'm gonna try to run a 1 minute, see how that goes. Hopefully it's all right, and then we'll be back. We're gonna play some GeoGuessr. Stick around. Oh, Twitch, you're being all weird. Let's see. All right, let's play some GeoGuessr. We'll we'll do bridges. Oh, Game Studios looks pretty cool, but we'll do bridges. This is a bridge. 100%. It's a 60 kilometers. Are we on the left? We're on the left. Are we in Japan? I can't read that. And there's not much going on here. There's sky. Any mountains? The buildings over there don't look... Maybe this is Australia. Or New Zealand. I'm getting Japan vibes. I can't pretend I'm any good at this game at all. So we're just gonna pick Sydney. Because I don't know what I'm doing. Sure. Was this Malaysia? I think it's Malaysia. No, where are we? Oh man, yes, I'm nowhere. Indonesia. Okay, sorry. Indonesia. All right. Let's see. Try another one. Museums. Ham. Oh, Helsinki Art Museum. Yes. There we go. I wish I could just like actually find it so I could get close, but I need to recover from the devastating loss of Australia versus Indonesia. So let's see if we can just speed it up. There we go. Okay, one more historical buildings. Why is it asking me for another ad break? God, it's just the worst. All right, it might shoot another ad break, so we'll just stay playing GeoGuessr for a bit. Okay. Washington, D.C. Can we find the Capitol building? There's the White House. Jefferson Memorial. National Mall. Arlington Cemetery. This is actually a really cool place to land. I've landed in DCA, the airport, and it's really cool seeing all these buildings when you land. I don't know where the capital is. Somewhere. Oh, United States Capitol. Maybe there. Now another ad break. I don't know why Twitch did this. That was kind of weird for it to do. All right, we're just gonna stay until everyone comes back. So city squares. Let's do a city squares. I'm getting Russia vibes. All I need is a like .ru somewhere. Please give me a .ru. I mean, I have no choice but to do Russia for this. Is that Ukraine? This might be Ukraine, not Russia. This might be Ukraine. Let's try Ukraine. It is Ukraine. Sneaky. Okay, I think we are good. It's not sneaky of Ukraine. I just don't know enough about the Russian language, apparently. But at least we got the right country this time. Okay, so we're not going to continue. Let's go ahead and head back over to our session here. And let's finish creating this table. Okay, so again, postal codes, use varchar, don't use integers, especially if you're trying to stuff not asked into an integer. That's not gonna work. So here's actually a chance for me to show you this where clause and how cool it is. Try cast, I'm gonna try to cast the postal code as an integer. And if I say where it is null, it's gonna show me all the ones that were not castable. Is that a word? Castable? Castable is not a word, but they were not castable. It tried to cast, it could not, and so it would return them as a null value, or it would just error out on us. So again, varchar here. Let's do varchar. Let's do 100. Let's do 100. Just cuz. All right, primary database. That one I'm just gonna give, we'll do varchar 500 on that, just because, oh no, actually, we don't have to. And if we wanna know, I mean, the reality is, if we wanna know how big one of the values is, all we have to do is say, select the length of, what primary database as len primary database, and this tells us all the lengths. We can order by one descending, and we can see which one's the biggest. 23 is the biggest, so if we give it 100, we're being generous. Years with this database. Now you'd expect this to be an integer, but knowing users, maybe they put like a lot or something like that. Or, and I know Brent has pointed this out a lot of times, like some people would just come in here and put the weirdest answers in there just to be weird. You've been using the database for 2005 years. That's astounding. That's astounding. Hammer and chisel was your management studio, I guess. Apparently, analyzing this a little bit more, of course, it's probably the person has been using it since 2005, right? When did you first start using this database? But unfortunately, sometimes we can't do it. So it's obviously bad data. It's not Brent's bad data. It's just the user input the wrong value in here because they misunderstood the question, or they were trying to be funny. I don't know which. But this means that we can only use an integer. We can't use a small. Well, wait. You can use a small, just not a tiny. All right. Other databases. Let's check the what? Oh, let's check the length of other databases. What's the maximum? $210. So let's do 400. Let's do 500. Why? Because if for some reason I decide to stuff all of the survey results into the same table, when in fact I probably should do that, I'm going to go ahead and just remove the 2025 from here. Why? Because Brent gave us a survey year. So all of the values are going to be survey year 2025 here. All I have to do is just stuff 2024, 2023, etc. into this same table, and I'm good to go there. All right, let's go ahead and align things a little bit better. Just because I like to see things sort of organized. Employment status. Let's see how long those are. 65 characters. So we'll do 100. Okay. And then what else do we have? Job title. Why is employment status giving us? Okay. Job title. Let's see what that looks like. These look a little bit longer. Oh, we have some really long. Okay. Oh, but I think these were like. This looks like it was maybe more pre-selected answers. So Brent probably gave folks a choice here. Developer T-SQL. A lot of these look alike, and usually when people maybe he had like an other option, and some people put others as well. I seem to remember he did have another option. It's been, I think I took this back in December, so I'm not remembering those very well. But okay, let's just find the longest one instead of me wasting your time here trying to explain this. Job title, where are we at with job title? 106, so we'll just do double that. Varchar 200. Do you manage staff? Was one of the questions. Do you manage staff? There's yes and no's. So here we won't select the length. We'll just select the distinct values of manage staff. And to do that, we're just going to do distinct. You can also do group by that column. So I'm just going to do distinct, manage staff, as managed. Actually, I don't even have to do an as here. I don't have to do an alias. Yes and no. Yes and no are the only ones. Now here, if you want to be creative, you can do something like 1 and 0 for your managed staff instead. So you can use something like a bit column. But when you're inserting this data, you would need to make sure that you convert yes to 1, no to 0. And when you're working with Oracle, it would have to be a Boolean type as well. Oracle doesn't have bit, or at least not the versions I use. All right, so we're just going to leave this as n, as just varchar. Let's do 10, just in case there's another like prefer not to say or didn't say or something in the prior years. Years with this type of job. What's the maximum length there? Years. Nope, not years with this database. We already did that one. Years with this type of job. What's the maximum length? 4. So a couple people, as you can see. So these 4, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they probably thought they were supposed to enter the year. But someone put 3 digits. So I need to look at that. I really don't know what to make of this. Where the length of years of this type of job is greater than 2, basically, is what I need to look at. Where it's greater than 2. All right, so plus 20. Okay. Maybe plus 20 is like was a choice. 20 plus years. Maybe that was a choice. I seem to remember this was a free text, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so these are again people who thought they were supposed to put the year. This person just put 20 plus, which is fine. We're just gonna have to do some sort of cleaning here before we push it into Power BI. Otherwise, it's not really gonna work in Power BI. Okay, so the length, blah blah blah, years with this type of job. I'm just gonna have to put varchar here. So I'll put varchar 10 as well. How many companies? So how many companies have you worked for in totality or in total? Let's see what that data looks like. How many companies? So this was an out of the box one, and then a couple not asked. 4, 6 or more. Okay, what's the biggest one? How many companies? There we go. So 66 was the longest characters. So let's do 100 for this one. Okay, other people on your team. Let's just do other people on your team here. Other databases. No, other people. Let's just type other, and then we can get to other people on your team. 11 characters. I need to see this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, none or more than 5. These were probably out of the box ones that Brent gave us. Again, I remember taking it. I just don't remember the exact choices. Other people on your team. This can be 20, just in case other years have something. Database servers. There we go. So we have 9999. Someone put. That's pretty cool. Good for them that they work with 9999. Someone worked with 14,000 SQL servers or database servers. 11,000 SQLs. 1 million SQL servers. How that person had time to take anything, especially a survey, that is very interesting to me. Man, thank you, Brent, for this data, because it reveals some interesting people for sure. Okay, what are we supposed to do here? Database servers, I'm just gonna put varchar, I don't know, 50 or something. Wow. Let's see how long the longest record is. Nine. Okay, so we can just do like 20, I guess. Population of largest city within 200 miles. Let's see what people put here. 20 characters. Okay, so this was definitely a number, hopefully. Nope. Oh, these were the out of the box answers. I do remember this one. I think I put large city in mine, or metropolis. I can't remember. I think I put large city. Okay, we'll do varchar. How long did I say it was? 20. Okay, so we'll just do 40. Just because I like your shirt today, we're gonna give it double. Employment sector. Oh, hey, this is the fun part. This is the fun part about data analysis, is having to clean stuff up. This is the real... I was being sarcastic when I said it's the fun part. Some people actually do enjoy this. Those people are known as data engineers, and maybe they don't even like doing that. But it's certainly their job to get it cleansed and correct so that the analyst can analyze it. If this is your thing, if you're enjoying this part of the process, look into ETL, look into data engineering, look into data migration. I have a couple of ETL videos as well, like which ETL tool is the fastest one. For example, I tested SSMS, SSIS, and PowerShell. Spoiler, it was PowerShell. That video is going to be up here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, there's my socials. You can hop over to my YouTube channel and just search for like SQL FDBA SSMS or something like that, or just search my channel for SSMS. And you'll see that video there. It's an interesting one for sure. Okay, employment sector, here's all the values. Let's see what the biggest value is. 37. So we'll do varchar 37. Nah, we'll do 40. I don't like odd numbers like that. Unless it's absolutely like, oh, phone number. The even phone number. Some people put the plus, some people put dashes, that sort of thing. Career plans this year. I'm talking a lot, aren't I? Career plans this year, 46. Okay, so I think this is the one where he asked, like, do you want to stay put? Do you want to move? Yeah, here we go. So I remember this one. 40, what was the biggest one again? 46. Okay, so we'll just do like a 60. Varchar 60. Gender, I think this one allows me to select it as well. 23. Okay, 23. Yep, I remember there were some longer ones. Okay, right here. So varchar, what was the length? 23. So we'll do 40. And counter. Counter is just a 1 digit that he used to just count the number of records there were. That's all the purpose is. And this is a cool one as well. We don't really need this one because we have something like the identifier. So we'll just put this in here just so we can put the data set one for one. This is just going to be an integer or even a tiny int. This is not going to be anything but one. Okay, so now we're done with the values that came with the data set. Now I'm going to add my own. So what I would do is I would go ahead and add an ID, and this is going to be an integer of identity type, meaning it's going to auto increment starting with the number 1 and just increment by 1 every single record. So this is an auto number. Basically in Oracle it's known as an auto number or auto increment, something like that. All right, so that's my singular key for a unique record for me. Now I'm also going to put the import date, which is going to be a date time. You can use date time 2 here if you wish. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use date time because all I care about is milliseconds. If I wanted a microsecond, then I would use date time 2. And also date time 2 just has a much bigger range. I think this one goes back to like 1770, but date time 2 goes back, I don't know, a lot longer than that. Year 1, year 0, I'm not really sure. Anyway, ID and import date are usually the ones I do. If I'm working with peers, then I'll put like imported by. or created by, and I'll put my own name here. That's cool too. But for now, all I need are these right here. So we'll go ahead and create that table. And we were successful in creating it. That is wonderful news. So now what we're going to do is we're going to import the data into this table. So we're going to say insert into this table here. And then I like to, you don't have to do this, but I highly recommend it. And I will judge you, absolutely judge you if you don't do this. Illusion1x says, how's it going? Illusion1x says, hey, any tips on transition to a data engineer role from a DBA or data analyst? The first step would be probably Python. I have had a data engineer role in the past, and I have a data engineer on my team. She doesn't use Python, but yes, absolutely, Python would be a really good Python would be a really good language to learn. I haven't, because I haven't had a need for it. I've used Python scripts and I've made Python scripts in the past for certain purposes, but I've never had to really learn it in a robust manner. That's probably because I use DBA tools from PowerShell. PowerShell is a scripting language in which you can use tools or modules very similar to Python. One of the modules is DBA tools, and that allows me to import data into SQL Server very quickly, work with APIs. You can manage SQL Server altogether with it as well, and just automate lots of processes. But yes, definitely Python is a really, really good language to use and learn if you want to be a data engineer. I have several videos about it. Actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have several videos about taking projects from start to finish. So out in the ether, there are all sorts of APIs, right? And those APIs, I show you how to download data from them. I show you how to store them. And I don't use Python, I use PowerShell to do so, but you're more than welcome to use Python for it so that you can learn it. I give you sort of examples of APIs, like one I used was the theme parks. There's a site called qtimes.com, and it has live theme park data for like wait times. And I was able to get the API from qtimes.com. I was able to download data using that API, store it in SQL Server using PowerShell and DBA tools, and then we analyzed it. So it's a start to finish type thing, right? And if you want to focus on data engineering stuff, SSIS is a good one. Azure Data Factory is a good one. Python is definitely good. DBA tools. It's really about you being resourceful and getting data into the database or the database server, the instance, whatever it is that you're working with, depending on your database management platform. So yeah, you can definitely take a look at Python. You can take a look at SSIS. You can take a look at Airflow and all those other ones as well. And that should should at least let you know if you're going to like it, based on what you see, right? Based on what you experience, it'll let you know if you want to pursue that, and then you can just keep going from there. But the data engineer on my team, she does a lot. She not only works on sourcing data and importing it, but she also is my Power BI administrator and one of my DBAs. So you have a lot of DBA experience, it seems, already. So you'll be able to leverage that for your data engineering role if that's the direction you want to go in. All right, so we're going to copy all of these columns here because I like to make sure I fully qualify, or I'm explicitly declaring the columns I'm trying to insert into. So as you can see, data salary results right here is the new table that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and add my ID column and my import date column. So now I'm telling SQL Server exactly which columns I want to import into, except what mistake did I make here? The mistake I made is ID. I cannot import a value into ID unless I set identity insert on, which I don't want to do. I don't care to do that. I want to let the table's automatic identity incrementation process take that over. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to remove ID from this value. And technically speaking, if I wanted to, I could just do default on the import date, default get date, and that would actually insert a date, the current date and time automatically if I didn't push a value into this column. But what I want to do is actually make sure that I input the same exact time for all of these records. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to declare a variable and I'm going to call it current date time. And that's going to be a date time, which is the same data type as the column. And it's just going to be equal to get date. Now, you may be asking, well, if you're going to do that, why don't you just push get date as the value that you're going to import? Well, the reason for that is I want the current date and time to be exactly the same. And if it takes long enough, what this will actually do is keep increasing the date and time, and I don't want any records to have a different date and time. So I'm just going to collect the current date and time right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just use it as a singular value for all of my rows. Illusion1x says, okay, that's really cool. Thank you for answering. I'll be on your YouTube videos and maybe try a hands-on experience with one of my projects. Yes, please do so. I also have one on, what was the other one? Oh, there's a Brazilian coding academy type company called Codante, and they sponsored a hackathon where they opened up their API full of Olympics data. So Olympics, the 2024 Olympics, and they just were posting like live results as the Olympics were going on. So I was able to participate in that hackathon, use their API, and I have a YouTube video about using that API, downloading it, and then creating a Power BI report for it. So if you can take projects like start to finish, that's a lot of good data engineering experience that you'll gain from that. And there's actually on Reddit this week, someone posted like a huge list of APIs. Oof. I'm going to try to find it really quick. I'm going to try to find it to see if I have it. And if I do, I'll share it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Okay. I think I should be able to share it with you. Let's see. That website right there. Someone posted this on GitHub. So huge thanks to that person. You can leverage all those public APIs. I also work with a couple of different other public APIs. But if you can go on this list, find an API that you like based on data that you like, you should be able to take that sort of start to finish, right? Access the API, use Postman to try to get it, right? Postman's a great tool for exploring APIs. Use Postman to sort of scope around. Then use PowerShell or Python to download data from that API and upload it into SQL Server. Mess around with it in SQL Server. I think I have a couple of videos where I use ChatGPT to ask me interview questions about the data itself, so that I can get like custom interview questions based on the data that I'm exploring at the time. That's a pretty neat feature of ChatGPT, that it builds you bespoke interview questions based on whatever data set you tell it to do so. All right. It looks like Twitch is bothering me yet again for another ad break. What is going on? I think the system's like messed up today. But I'm going to try to abide by this ad break. Why does it keep telling me to run 1 minute? All right, let me see if I can do something here. Ads, ads, ads. Where are you? 3 minute. There we are. There's the 3 minute button. I think it's because I could only find the 1 minute button first. So now I'm going to try to run a 3 minute. We'll play a little bit of GeoGuessr and then we'll come back and import it. So sorry for the ads, but I just want to make sure that if you jump into this stream, you won't get hit with ads immediately. That's why we run them throughout the stream rather than making you suffer through ads to then only discover you might not like this stream. Oh my God, how annoying would that be? Anyway, let's hit up some ads. We play GeoGuessr if you're subscribed, or if Twitch doesn't choose you for the ad. We're just going to play GeoGuessr and we will be right back. Okay. Let's play some GeoGuessr. Say these squares. I don't. Italy? Is that Italy or Mexico? I'm gonna go with Italy. Yeah, Rome. Rome, Italy. Okay, cool. At least I know what part now. I don't know what city square this is. They have a lot. Let's see if I can. Okay, I'm just gonna tag Rome here at least and see if I can find any information about where we are. Very cool uniforms. This is an Italian word. I'm very good at this, as you can see. Those are Italian. Well, those are Latin words. Sure. Nothing else. I got nothing else. Oh, do we have street names? No, we don't. Zara. Okay, maybe we can find the Zara and the McDonald's. You know. No, that's the Metro. I was like, oh look, M for McDonald's. That's not. It's not. It's definitely not. I don't know. This is a historic center, Centro Storico. So we'll go there. We'll go there. Probably far away. Not bad. 709 meters, less than a kilometer. That's not bad. That's not bad. We're doing okay. Let's go to bridges. Speed limit 60 kilometers an hour. We are driving on the left side of the road. I'm thinking Australia here. Port of Brisbane. Yes, we sure are in Australia. Specifically, heading to the port of Brisbane. Where that is, the world may never know. The world may never know. Do we see a port? Do we see a port? I don't see any port around here. I'm gonna stick with this. Probably the port is somewhere. Port of Brisbane. Okay, but hold on. We have not reached the port of Brisbane yet, so we're probably on our way. So we're probably somewhere around here. Maybe? Yes. Yes, we sure are. That 630 meters. I'm getting even closer. Getting even closer. Okay, I think we have time for one more before the folks from the ad join us. So we'll go to museums. National Textile Museum. I don't recognize that language. I don't recognize that. Okay, we're driving on the right though. Malaysia. Malaysia? Something tell. I think Malaysia or Indonesia. Possibly Indonesia, because Indonesia drives on the left too. I don't know. Oh, we are back. We are back from ads, but I want to finish this. So Illusion X says, all right, I'll try some project in the upcoming weeks, though it sounds a bit challenging to complete from start to finish. I do it in like 3 hours in the video. You are with me step by step while we do it. If you can replicate what I do step by step, I guide you through it, you'll have completed one of your first projects. Illusion also says, I guess it just requires some commitment and checking out similar projects or guides. Thanks for the link too. I have several projects where I do this, so we will do it together. I mean, obviously you can pause me and you can also play me at like 2x, times, because I babble a lot like I'm doing right now. So yeah, you can pause me, you can skip. I put lots of chapters in there too. You can always go back. So please keep that in mind. But yes, I have several projects and I have a full playlist of just projects as well. I'm gonna go with Indonesia, even though I probably shouldn't. I'm getting Malaysia vibes and I don't recognize that flag. I feel horrible. It was Malaysia. Man. That's what I get. That's what I get. Should go with your gut. All right. And speaking of projects, maybe this will be a bit motivating for some, but I had in early December, I had a really quick idea to put together a hackathon for my folks that I am part of a group. I'm part of a Discord group called Code Boricua. It's basically just developers programmers, computer enthusiasts from Puerto Rico, which I am from. And so I put together a quick hackathon for anyone to go ahead and join in that Discord group. And it was really cool. Had some entries and had 2 winners. The 2, I made a video about it to sort of hype it up for them. And we had our 2 winners were Ian Sanchez and Samuel Figueroa. They both have reports. If you want to interact with these reports, you can feel free to go to this site here. It's the site that I put together for the event with all the rules, and I made a video of it, like introducing it. And then once we announced the winners, I put the winners Power BI reports up here so that anyone can go in. So if you want to show some love to Ian and to Samuel, feel free to check out their reports. They did a fantastic job, and they won some prizes too. The cool thing is they got some prizes. They got mechanical keyboards, some stickers, and an Amazon gift card. So very, very cool, and congrats to them. I will probably be running another hackathon sometime in the next month or 2. That'll be open to the entire SQL Dev DBA community. And so just stick around, and you might see a video on my YouTube channel pop up announcing a new hackathon. It won't be mechanical keyboards. It'll probably just be Amazon gift cards so that it can be a worldwide thing, because our audience is all over the world. So congrats to them. And again, be on the lookout for another hackathon event, because it'll probably be coming soon. I just got to get a couple things in order, and then I can do it. All right, let's hop over. Okay, so let's see. Illusion says, okay, I'll do that. I will report back sooner or later. Sounds good. If I can help you with anything, please feel free to reach out to me on Discord. I am on Discord as well. So feel free to reach out to me on Discord. Let me know if you have any issues, and I'd be happy to either send you a video of me already doing it or just help you out as much as I can. All right, so we have our insert statement building up. Now we're going to add the values themselves. So to add those values, I'm just going to run a select statement of the exact same columns, just right here, salary USD. So I'm going to say select all these columns from this table here, from our import table. So let me go ahead and select those, make sure they run. There we go. We are okay. I'm probably going to go ahead and order by the entry date. When was the entry date? I could have sworn there was an entry date. Timestamp. Oh, and I forgot the timestamp column too, huh? Didn't I? Classic me. Luckily, SQL Server would have let me know, hey, there's a mismatch between your insert statement and your selectable columns, which right now there actually is. So it's probably going to yell at me if I try it right now, which I'm not going to. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. We're going to select, and now we have everything. So I'm going to order by the timestamp ascending. You can do it by descending or ascending. I'm going to do ascending, or if you just leave it alone, it'll just do ascending by itself. But we have two extra columns here, import date and timestamp. So what am I going to do with this? What I'm going to do is we have one extra column, just the import date. So the import date is going to be the current date time variable as import date. That's the variable that I declared up here. This one just tags the current date and time. It stores it in a variable and it never changes until I change it. And then I can use it right here. So what I'm going to do is, instead of inserting it right away, I'm going to just make sure, I'm going to comment that insert statement out and just make sure I can run the declare and the select. And there we go. We have an import date of 125 at 106. Man, it's 106 already. I really need to go to Disney. We're going to go ahead and select that, and that's good. So now I'm going to re-enable this, and now I should be able to import all the data, unless I got one of the data types wrong. Hopefully I didn't. And there we go, 13,842, and we are good. Now, this step, this whole thing of like inserting it into correct data types, you technically didn't have to do this step. You could have gone straight from the CSV all the way into Power BI, or just explored the data through CSV. But I find that, again, part of the process is to make sure that this data looks okay. It gives me a chance to sort of get familiar with the data. It gives me a chance to correct anything if it's wrong, or if it doesn't look right, I can just delete it altogether. This is sort of, again, a decontamination zone for the data itself. All right, so when I refresh this, what I'll get now is 2 tables. One of them is the salary survey results, and that's the one I'm going to work with. Here it is right here. It's all yelling at me because IntelliSense doesn't know the table exists yet. I'm going to hold Control and Shift and say R, or type R, and this will go away. IntelliSense is now good to go. So we got the data in. Let's go back to loop to make sure we don't lose anything. Import into SQL Server. Now we need to create live SQL scripts, but instead what I'm going to do is just analyze it in SQL Server with ChatGPT. I want to show you this step because we might not be able to get to the Power BI step, but this one I feel if you are working in SQL Server or any other database platform, you should be able to get a lot out of this particular step here, which is using custom data with ChatGPT. Survey year. Why is survey year blank? Did I forget it? I sure did, didn't I? That's weird. Okay, that's weird. Did I not insert it? Yeah, I skipped it. Classic. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna truncate this table. Now, why truncate and not delete? Well, because truncate will actually reset the IDs as well. If I just deleted it, if I just deleted from this table, what it'll do is preserve the ID. So like if I inserted 13,842, my very next ID, even for the first record, would then be 13,843 and go up to 26,000. So instead, I'm going to truncate it. That clears the entire table and resets the identity. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to comment that out now. And now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I am inserting that value. Oh, that's why. It's because I had a special function on it. So now we're going to insert, where is it? It's the first column after import date, right? There it is. Let me organize this stuff a little bit better. There we are. You, go away. There we go. All right, let's try that again. There we are. And now we have to, hold on. Brent is giving us all of the years. Maybe I'm just terrible at reading. Yes, I'm just terrible at reading. If you look, Brent is giving us all of the years. So this means that we're, or at least a lot of the years. So we have to be very careful about how we analyze this data. We have the survey year right here. Even though I ordered it by timestamp, it looks like the first entries, are from 2020's survey year, so in 2019. So that's something to note. No, 2017. That's very, oh, it's just SQL Server is returning the data in whatever way it feels like it, because I didn't add a primary key to the table. So we're just going to do timestamp, order by timestamp, ascending, and the column is timestamp. So we're just going to surround it with brackets. And there we go. Now we have 2017. Okay, so very cool. We now have 2017. Let's start off with just a couple basic queries like how many entries per year? How many entries per survey year? That's a pretty simple one. What we're going to do is just select the survey year. We can start off with a distinct survey year from this table. Not from, and then order by survey year. now we have all the unique years. Let me take a drink here. Here we go. Okay, so now we just want to know how many records. So I have a special thing where I can count. You can count star if you want to. I like to count ID. There's all sorts of different videos on which one is more efficient. I'm not super worried with 13,000 records, but if you're working this code into production, you should be a bit more worried than that. And I would encourage you to take a look at videos by Brent Ozar, by Eric Darling. He has a couple of them on which column to count, that sort of thing. I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to count my IDs. I can also count the distinct IDs because that's what I do in Power BI, and that's why I set up that value of distinct, is so that I can have one unique key for each and every record that I have. So count distinct ID as unique records. And what's it yelling me at? What's it yelling at me about? Well, it's saying, hey, you don't have a grouping here. So I'm just going to add a group by. You need to group by every column that you are not aggregating. So this is an aggregate column. This is not. And so I need to group by it. And there we go. Now we can see in 2017, we had 2898, 2018, blah, blah, blah. So how do I represent this graphically within SQL Server, just to give us a visual idea of how things look? Well, what I can do is I can use something called replicate. And a couple of you have probably seen me use this before, but the replicate function works just like Excel in that it replicates any particular character. So I'm just going to replicate the vertical bar however many times there are unique records. So this is going to be unique records underscore bar. And now we'll see a graphical representation of the bars. Now here, this is obviously a bit too long to fit here. So I'm just going to divide this number by 10. And now we should have a very limited version of it. We still don't even have it, so I'm going to divide it by 50. And since I'm dividing all of them by 50, it's still a proportional representation. And that's really what I'm looking for, is a proportional representation of how many records each year has. Just as a quick glance, I'm not saying put this out as a report. You could if you wanted to, but I don't encourage you. But here you can see that 2017, 2018 just have way more responses than any of the other years. 2020 and 2021 are close again, probably because of pandemic. 22, 23, and 24, 25 are all around the same, under 1,000. So that's a really quick question for analysis that you can do as well. I'll be able to do that in Power BI too, but if you want a graphical representation, this would be a good one to do. Okay, so I could sit here thinking of different questions all day, but what if I do something like this? What if I take all of these columns and I hop over to our friend Bing Chat? You can use ChatGPT as well. I have a paid ChatGPT account, but since Bing Chat is free, I want to make sure that anyone can really use this. And basically I'll say something like, I have a collection of data from Brent Ozar's salary survey. The columns are below. Can you please, remember please, because our robot overlords and stuff, can you please give me 15 SQL interview questions that I can solve using the data? I do not want the answers, just the questions. Here's where you can also tell it, hey, I want the questions to be for an intermediate data analyst. And here's where you can say either intermediate, you can say beginner, you can say super advanced, you can say architect level. All those things you can tell ChatGPT or Bing Chat, and it'll customize it for you. So the next line, I'm just going to go ahead and give it the columns, and it'll pump out all of the different questions. And again, all I did was tell it the columns I see. I didn't tell it anything else about the data. So it sort of uses that and the context of those columns and sort of gives you some basic interview questions that you can use. So we're going to copy these back. What I'm actually going to do is copy the prompt, because the prompt, I want to share it with you all. ChatGPT Prompt. So if you're watching on YouTube, the prompt is going to be right in the description below over there. So feel free to have at it, change it up if you want to. Show me any interesting ones that you got instead, or that you came up with instead. I'd love to see those. Okay, so I'm going to copy this response and I'm just going to paste it right here. So now we have 15 questions. And if you don't like those, you can tell it, hey, I actually don't want those. They're a little too easy, or they're a little bit too hard. Can you make them easier, or can you make them harder? If you have any clarifications that you need to make, if you say, I really like number 6, can you give me more like number 6? It'll do that for you as well. An infinite number of times. Notice how I'm not asking ChatGPT for help here with the SQL itself. I'm asking it for interview questions that I would possibly get for an interview. Now, if I was wanting to interview at like an insurance company, or if I was wanting to interview at a bank, I could say, this is for an interview with a bank, and it would like distinctly change the questions to be more about money and about more like salary based stuff. If you're saying, oh, it's going to be an operational thing or an HR thing, it would tailor those questions based on what you do. I encourage you to try that out, because it's really cool seeing it sort of customize things based on what you tell it to do. Anyway, again, I'm talking a lot, aren't I? What I'm going to do is save this right here as the questions, because I want to make sure that I'm able to share all of this with you all. So let me create a folder. Salary 2025, open that folder, and then say interview questions. And then this one's going to be the ETL. Because this is where I was able to move the data from the staging table over to the final table. All right, so let's get to work answering a couple of these questions. Let's go ahead and copy the first 5, and I think that's all we're going to have really time for. Now, because these are questions, technically speaking, if you want to go straight to Power BI because you either don't have SQL Server or you don't even want to play around with Live SQL, which is again a free version of it, and maybe I'm going to try to see if I can come up with some insert statements for it. Should be pretty easy. I'm known to say that a lot, and then it takes me like an hour. But if you want to play around with Power BI, straight into Power BI, because again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to have access to the CSV export from this data set here already. So if you want to, feel free to just hop straight into Power BI. You can still use these questions, right? You can even tell ChatGPT, hey, instead of SQL Server, I'm going to play around with these on Power BI. Can you first give me questions to answer? And then can you give me hints as to what type of visuals I should use? That's a really cool way to sort of get familiar with Power BI and which visuals to use for what. So that's always an idea there. All right, so let's take a look. What is the average salary in US dollars for each country? So first, we're gonna just get a list of the countries. And what I wanna do is just have here on the left, the columns. So how do I do that? Well, I'm just gonna grab a select statement right here. This select statement, I'm just gonna put it on the left here. That way we always have our data here on the left, and we can just answer the questions here on the right. Okay, so question number 1, what is the average salary in US dollars for each country? Let's see if we can solve that. We're gonna grab a unique set of countries first. Select distinct country. Yeah, it is country. From this table. And then we're just gonna order by country. Ascending. Okay, so one of the things I want to fix right now is just this table is currently a heap, And if I ran Brent Ozar's first responder kit, that's probably one of the things that would tell me is like, hey, this table's a heap, why don't you add a primary key to it? So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do in the ETL space here, in the ETL area. So you can do it a fair number of ways. My go-to is just altering the table and adding the primary key. So let's say alter table, or is it create index? God, I never remember how to do it with this one, because I always do it while I'm creating the table itself. Let's see, add constraint. You know what? I'm just gonna Google it because I don't have time. T-SQL add primary key. Yep, there it is. Blah blah blah. Alter table color. Yeah, it's alter tables. Add constraint. There it is. Did you think I was gonna remember that on the fly? If you do remember that, that's cool. I haven't had a need to remember it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and alter this table, dbo dot. I just don't use that feature enough. I always build it into the table. Like up here, I would just say this is primary key, like that, and it'll automatically create the constraint for me. All right, so at least with this way, I get to create like the PK for it. Like I get to name it PK. I always like to do something like IX or PK, the name of the table, like that. And then sometimes I'll put like the column it's based off of, but I don't really have to do that. All right, and the primary key cluster is ID. There it is, it's created, and then I'm just gonna update statistics of this table as well. And we are good to go. All right, let's head on back. That's probably not gonna do too much for you performance-wise. It's just a habit you wanna get into, is not leaving any tables as heaps. Organize them in some way so that they're not heaps. Especially once you move into like the DBA space, senior data analyst space, you're going to want to make sure all your tables are well built. Okay, and then how many entries is that? What is the average salary? I'm going to do how many entries as well. So count distinct ID as unique entries. Why? Because I want to see, is that 100, you know, if the average is 155,000, is that one entry for 155,000 or is it 10? You know, that sort of thing. Group by country. Otherwise, it's going to yell at us. I'm going to format it because I have Redgate SQL prompt and I want to get my money's worth. So let's count the number of entries per country. Make sure that looks okay. See, some of them, whatever the one person in Albania put, that's the average salary for that country. So it's sort of like a take their word for it kind of thing. So I'm going to just average the salary in USD as average salary USD. And here's where I would say I'd rather do something like, instead of just average, I'll do min, average, and max. That way I can get a good reading as to what's going on and whether or not, you know, these numbers are legitimate or not. This one, for example, in Australia, someone put that their salary is $1 million. Now, I'm not an expert, but I have yet to meet someone who has just, you know, I mean, Belgium, $950,000. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. If that's the case, good on you guys. Look, this is fantastic. It's really cool to see this stuff. 920,000 is the maximum for one of them. The average is 101,000, and that's cool. Finland, there's someone in Finland making close to $1 million. Germany, $800,000. And the thing is, this survey is open to everyone. So technically speaking, this could be a VP of information, right? A senior information officer or chief information officer, that sort of thing. So that's really cool. it's a little odd for me to see this $1.8 million here for the maximum value. But again, could very well be the case. But some folks might be embellishing their numbers a little bit. I told myself I was not gonna have an opinion on this data. And also something I'm not going to do is compare this with my salary at all. I'm not here to compare salaries with me. I'm not going to mention my salary at all either. This is just data for me. We have to just do a really good job of disconnecting when we look at stuff like this. All right, so let's keep going here. How many respondents are there for each primary database? Oh, and by the way, if you're seeing like all these numbers, that's just a factor of average, min, and max calculations, just like Excel would. If you want to just cut those down, just cast whatever the calculation is as decimal. And if you're wondering how I'm writing on all those lines at the same time, you hold Alt. In my case, it's the Option key right here. But if you hold Alt and drag your mouse, you can write it on many lines at the same time. That's a pretty cool feature of Management Studio, Visual Studio, that sort of thing. But if you cast it as a decimal 18.2, you can see right here that there's just a decimal with 2 places, and that's all. So definitely encourage you to use that if you haven't already. All right. How many respondents are there for each primary database type? Okay, primary database. Primary database. I thought I saw it somewhere around here. Primary database, right here. Okay, so again, technically speaking, I can just take this. I don't have to rebuild it. In fact, I encourage you not to rebuild it. If I group by country here, I'll just change this grouping to be by primary database. But it's not how many, it's not the US salary, right? Even though that's an interesting topic, it's not the US salary. I'm gonna go ahead and just say, leave average salary in here because I'm curious by each primary database type. But let's see. There's a long, running joke that Oracle gets you the most money. That's just been a long-standing joke, mostly because it's true. So I'm curious to see if Oracle has the highest average salary. There's Oracle, 91,000. So it does not have the highest average salary, right? We're ordering this by primary database, and it looks like the highest salary is Elasticsearch on average, but it's only 2 respondents here. And by the way, we are answering the initial question, which was how many respondents. Here's the unique entry. So I'm just going a little further and exploring a little bit more. Amazon RDS is pretty good right now too. So if I just order by 1, 2, 3, I can get that, but I don't encourage you to order by numbers. I encourage you to order by the actual columns. So we're just going to go ahead and order by this, just descending, just to get the top ones. And there we go. Elasticsearch, Amazon, RDS, Cassandra, Postgres, Oracle is like way down there. This has not been my experience, but hey, it's very interesting to know. That joke about Oracle being the most, maybe it's time we change that joke a little bit. Thank you very much for your follow. Invader Vim, like Invader Zim, very cool, very clever. Invader Vim, welcome and thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. All right, so we have right here the average salaries and by country, or sorry, by database type. This one, if you're looking for a job and you want a high paying one, I don't know. I mean, Access, definitely don't want Access if you want to get paid a lot. DB2 is getting better. MongoDB, you're in the 6 figures, but you want to get paid a lot with your job, or even if you have a job currently and you want a higher paying one, average salary of 156,000, hit up some Elasticsearch and see how things go. All right, so next question: what is the distribution of job titles amongst the recipients? I mean, Yeah, let's see. I mean, it's basically just asking me the same thing in a couple different ways, right? Again, I put intermediate, and it's sort of intermediate, I guess. I really wouldn't. It's just asking me the same thing. What is the average number of respondents that have worked with their primary database? What is the average number of years respondents have worked with their primary database? That's a more interesting one, I guess. Okay, so let's answer this one first. Distribution of job titles amongst the recipients. So I'm just going to put job title here and put it down here as well. Group by primary database. And again, I want to know who's getting paid. Who's getting paid most? Sales. Sales is doing what sales always gets paid the most. Principal databases, engineers, consultants, architects are getting paid a lot. Just know that, you know, the reason I keep leaving unique entries here is because you want to make sure that you're using a data source that you can trust. And I'm not talking about the data source overall. I wholeheartedly trust this data source because it's coming from Brent, but it's also open for people. And that means anyone can put whatever they want. So if it's only one person responding and they're saying they make 300,000, I fully believe them, but it also doesn't give me a lot of data to work with. If I'm saying, hey, more than 1,000 people responded as an architect and they're making an average of 128, then I can say that that number's pretty accurate. Whereas just one person is not going to do much for me. This one right here, DBA one, super accurate, because 2,900 people would have had to coordinate together and go, hey, we're going to put a really low number, right? Like, that's not going to happen. Whereas one person, if they put something very selective, they can influence it pretty greatly, as you can see. Even the sysadmins didn't get a lot of responses. So the more respondents, the more I would trust the number. These numbers here, a consultant is very general. You may get a good answer here, but it depends what type of consulting you do. Is it private? Do you work with particular industries? All that good stuff. So this one, I would make sure that you always use the number of entries to influence whether or not you're analyzing this number with a grain of salt or not. All right. So let's do a couple more here. And then we can quickly push this into Power BI, replicate this stuff, and then generate our SQL scripts, and then we're out of here. So let's see how are we doing on ad time. I want to make sure I don't blow that up. Looks like we're okay, but of course, like in 2 seconds, it's gonna get the pop-up. But we'll see. As long as I don't get the pop-up, I think I'm good to go. All right, let's go back. All right, great. How many respondents manage staff, and what is their average salary? Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this again and make sure that that's what I'm using. But this one has a specific filter of do you manage staff? So I need to add that as a where clause. For those of you who don't see that or didn't see it originally when we were first looking at this data set, it's right here. Manage staff is a yes or no value, and so I have to make sure that I say yes. Where manage staff equals yes. All right, so here, I don't care what their title is. How many respondents manage staff, and what is their average salary? The reality is I could actually feed manage staff as the value that we group by and get their average salary here. I don't even have to put this manage staff equals yes, because I can just group it by whether or not you manage staff. So we can see that there are, what was the question? How many respondents manage staff, and what was their average salary? Okay, so we can see for those who do manage staff, we got about 1/3 of the respondents saying they do manage staff and their salary is higher. Whereas we got 2/3 of folks, no, more than 2/3, a lot more than 2/3, 10,000 out of 13,000 have it. So they don't manage staff and their salaries are lower. Type Error Dev says hydration break. Thank you. You are absolutely right. I think it's one of the redemptions in the channel points. Let me see if I can do it. I think I should be able to do it. I have so many. I should probably cut that down. There it is. I'll go ahead and redeem it. Thanks for that, type error dev. Good call. Good call. You're probably noticing my voice getting a little horsey there. Okay. So we are good to go with this query here. Let's do one more. What is the average number of years respondents have worked with their primary database? This is an interesting one, right? Because we had the whole like 2005 thing. Someone put that they had been working for 2005 years with their database. So let's build this query from scratch. We're going to select the distinct years. Where are the years? Years with this type of job. There's another one. Years with this database. Years with this database. Okay, so maybe we should put primary database and years with this database together and see sort of what we can come up with. Let's see. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. Oh wait, is this the big one? This is the big one. How someone has managed to work with SQL Server for 53,700. I know you can't see that number right now because I took the screen off, but someone answered that they have been working with SQL Server for 53,716 years. Now I told myself I wasn't going to judge. But I think this calls for the police to get involved. Let me see if I can do that. If I hit, the police are coming. The police are coming. Yeah, I don't understand that. Anyway, so like yeah, I don't even know what to make of that. Okay, what is the average number of years respondents have worked with their primary database? Since we have these already, what we can do is just do for each primary database type, what is the average number of years, basically. So average of years with this database as average years with DB. I mean, and then we group by the primary database, order by the primary database. But here, like, here's the thing, like we're gonna go ahead and do that. But since we have this whole like 53,000, that's super swaying SQL Server. Super swaying SQL Server. That's not an analyst term, I promise you, but it's really just not doing any service to our analysis here. So I'm going to go ahead and order by years with this database, descending, and see if we can detect any additional ones that are being a little odd here. Okay, we got another one, 30,000. Come on. Here, these, we want, no, everyone here, we can give the benefit of the doubt because they probably misunderstood the question and said, oh, I've been working since X year. So why don't I just fix that now? Why don't I just fix that now? How would we fix this? Well, what we can do is say, hey, let's isolate anyone. Let's isolate all the records that have where the years with database, oh my god, where years with this database is greater than 40. The 40 person, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. No problem. 1050, I don't know what that is. I mean, I kind of just want to put 1 for that one because I don't even know how to interpret that. Did they mean the year 1050? Did they mean 105 years? Did 10.5 maybe? I don't really know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and change that to 1. But for the rest of these, what can we do? At least the 2020 and through 1990 here. For these here, I'm just gonna give them 20. I'm just gonna say the maximum number of years, which is 20. So let's do that. To change the specific records, what I would do is I would pull up what ID they belong to. So we can see here that this is record ID 7171. So I would say select years with this database. Oh, actually I can do both of these. Years with this database, where the ID equals 7171. I'm going to select it first, and then I'm just going to update it. Update this table as SR. Stevo, SQL, espero que estés bien, bro. Estoy lurking, estudiando, se te quiere. Muchas gracias, Stevo. Espero que estés muy bien. For those of you who do not follow Stevo, he has a fantastic stream, fantastic channel on Twitch. Feel free to check it out. Last time was Mario Kart, but it looks like he was last seen playing Tears of the Kingdom. Hope that went well for you. But yeah, I absolutely love Stevo's stream. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for being here, Stevo. Feel free to lurk. Thank you very much for stopping by. Okay, we're gonna update SR. We're gonna set SR to be what should we put? 20. Set SR dot years with this database to be equal to 20, because that's the maximum number. Nobody else, or I don't want anyone swaying. So as you can see, years with the database is now 20. Stevo, thank you for the lurk, really appreciate it. All right, so let's move on to the other one. 33031. Come on, there's no way you've been working with SQL Server that long. Oh my God, imagine that. Okay, I'm gonna select this ID, make sure it's good. Yes, that's the one, so I'm gonna update it to 20 as well. Now, let's take care of the other ones. Let's take care of these 2020 through 1990. First of all, let's take care of this 1051 so we can take care of all the rest of our ones without having to worry. So this 1051, you're also gonna get 20 years. Let's do that. Okay, and now we're just left with these here. So how do we know how many years? How do we know how many years? Well, all we have to do is subtract 2025 minus this number and we'll have how many years, right? So let's try it out. So if we say 2025, or you can just say like whatever year it currently is, that's fine too. Ooh, no, we actually can't do that, right? Because they may have answered this question in a prior survey year. So let's look at the survey year for all these answers, and we can see that they're across several years. So what I want to do is actually say the survey year minus the number of years with this database is how many years they have been working with it. And you can see for 2020 and 2021, it was 1. 2021 is also someone who has been working since 2017 is 4, that sort of thing. Some people have been working since for 33 plus years, that sort of thing, right? So now what we can do is update that value. So if we still have anyone, these are all our results for greater than 40. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I can isolate them. There they are right here. And do I want to just copy this? Yeah, I'm going to copy this so that if you want to look at my scripts, I'm going to share them in my Google Drive and you can just feel free to follow along with me here. I'm going to update this update right here. We're going to copy that. I'm going to copy this where clause to make sure that it runs. So now I still have those. Then I'm going to say everyone who has greater than 40 years, I'm going to update the value to the survey year minus the number of years with this database. And this is where we're going to put it. We're going to put it in the set that column equal to the survey year minus years with this database. And there we go. 16 rows updated. We are good to go. Let's see what our data looks like now. Now here is where we're going to say fix number of years for bad data. Inaccurate data. Maybe is a better way to say that. Inaccurate. I think it has one in. Inaccurate data. There we go. Okay. So what I like to do when I'm running scripts like this is I like to disable the first line here so it actually errors out and you can't run it by mistake. So any update statements like this that'll change the data, I like to just comment them. That'll make sure that if you press F5 or something, it doesn't run it by mistake. Okay. So what is the average number of years respondents have worked with data? Now, whatever results we see here are way more accurate. And Microsoft SQL Server, I think, I'm going to have to go back. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can actually go back to see. I think that said 20 before we changed all those, made the data a lot more accurate. So this is an interesting way to do that as well. To analyze that data, you want to make sure that if you see any anomalies in the data, you want to make sure you clear those anomalies, even if it means you have to update the data a little bit and reinterpret it. That way you get more accurate results. So it looks like our winner here of how many years or average number of years is 11. 11 years with SQL Server. So very cool. DB2 11 years. Yep, that's a sort of what is that, IBM, I think, DB2. Oracle 10 years. That's about right. I was looking to see any like legacy platforms, but I don't really see any. Amazon RDS. What the interesting ones are people who have been working with a database for longer than the database has existed. Those are always the fun ones to see. Okay, anyway, I think we're good to go with those questions. What we're going to do now is just quickly pop into Power BI and answer the same ones just with like simple bar charts. So let's go ahead and do so. I'm in Power BI here. I'm going to click a blank report. And to set this up, what I'm going to do is actually create a view on top of this data on here on the left. So why am I going to create a view for Power BI to consume? Why don't I just connect Power BI to the table? Well, I just put my socials up here and I have YouTube videos that go over, both in English and in Spanish, go over why I choose to use views and stored procedures to prepare data for Power BI and allow it to consume SQL Server reporting services, whatever reporting tool you use. I never give it direct access to a table because I don't trust it. And also it allows a lot more flexibility for me to be able to manipulate the data, to be able to sort of not allow some data to go in or mask the data. That's the word I was looking for, to mask the data, to just change it a little bit. And I don't have to redeploy the entire Power BI report. When I do that, I can just change it at the view level and I'm good to go. So it's a lot easier to do. Plus, I have 5,000 reports out there. I can just change it in one place and it'll automatically populate out to all those places. So again, I have a YouTube video that talks about, I think it's some like clickbaity title, if I'm honest. It's like, stop doing this or something like that is in the thumbnail, but apparently it gets the point across. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and create a view. So create view, dbo.vw, and I'll just name it the same as the table, salary survey results, like this, and then I like to do a created by script here, SQL dev dba. I'll do created date is today, so 125. Yes, I put the month before the date. I'm very sorry, rest of the world, but it's just how I'm used to doing things. Sometimes, usually for file names, I'll put like year, month, date, but this, yeah. Anyway, created date, created for Twitch stream, Brent Ozar salary survey. I'll usually put like the link to the data source if I was able to get it too. So since we have that link, I'm just going to put it here. There we are. And here I can just say returns data from Brent That's not how you spell from Brent Ozar's salary survey results. There we go. Now let's go ahead and create that view. The order by in the view, yeah. If you want to get around this, I didn't tell you this, but if you put top 100% here, you'll get around it. I don't encourage it, and it'll probably still not respect that anyway. So best to just delete it altogether. But if you truly must order a view, top 100% will work. Probably won't, but it will work. All right. So let's go ahead and get our data sources going. I think I should be able to use this one. No, let's just go ahead and create a brand new one because I had to change around my internet and all my IP addresses went crazy anyway. So may as well just create a brand new one. Here's a SQL Server data source. The server hopefully is micro PC1, and the database can be, I'm just going to copy it because I'll probably type it out wrong. Brent Ozar salary survey. Import. We want to use import. I don't have a video about that, but I probably should. But import is basically way faster. It doesn't depend on your SQL Server always being up. It'll just refresh once and the report just runs way faster. I do not recommend doing direct query unless you need like live data updates, call center reports, airport traffic, that sort of thing is okay. But if you're not getting live data updates, don't bother with direct query. All right, I think it's going to ask me for my credentials. There they are, database. That means we at least connected. So I'm going to hit OK, hit connect. It tells me it's not encrypted. That's fine. That means it connected successfully. And so now I'm going to choose my view. Here's my salary results. I'm not going to choose the table, just a view. Hit load. And again, here's where I'd be able to say, oh, you know what? The view, I actually don't want it to show salary at all. And so the view would just show whatever you want for it, null values or no salary at all, whatever it is. At this step, you can also import it directly from the CSV if you so desire, right? The CSV is a viable import source. So I'm just going to say get data from text or CSV. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my CSV file. So we'll go to documents, SQL Dev DBA. Here is where I would select my CSV. There it is right here. This is the one for import. So that is one you can run in Power BI. If I go to open here, it'll ask me about it. And what I like to do is I actually like to say, instead of based on 200 rows, if it's small enough, the data set, it's not like 50,000 or a million rows, then I just say based on entire data set. And what it does is analyzes the entire data set instead of first 200 rows and gives me really good data types or data type suggestions for what I should use. I also want to make sure it's doing this. See how it's doing the quoted identifiers as we did before? This means that if there's a comma in the data set, it won't push it out to the next column. So I'm just going to go ahead and load this. And while it's loading, which it's already done. It's already done. But Twitch has bothered me for another ad break. So I'm going to take a quick ad break. We're going to go play GeoGuessr. And when we're back, we can do this whole Power BI thing. We're going to answer a couple questions. And then we will be out of here, folks. So stick around if you want to see some GeoGuessr and some Power BI. If you're subscribed, you will be playing GeoGuessr with me, so feel free to give me suggestions and I'll do my best to take them. All right, so it is GeoGuessr time. I promise I will try not to embarrass myself. Let's take a look. We'll do game studios this time because we haven't done game studios. It's very dark. This is a closet. It's the closet of, I don't know. It's a closet in Antarctica. Whatever I guess, it'll be as good of a guess as closet in Antarctica of Esperanza Base. So that's what we're going with. Yeah, sounds about right. Super. That's exactly where I was guessing too. All right, see these squares? There we go. Now it finally loaded. I mean, it's not like I'm any better. I don't know. Where are we? Ah, those taxis. Those taxis. Isn't that color from... Aren't taxis in India that color? I want to say taxis in India are that color, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Ooh, is there anything good here? Nope. I'm gonna go with India, I think, just based on... Oh, but there's other taxis that are not that color. But something about that taxi. I mean, I'm probably gonna get this horribly wrong, but somewhere in northern India, closer to the Asia side. No, I'm terrible. Thailand. Wow. So yeah, apologies to my Indian friends for shaming myself here. All right, this seems like French. Ascenseur, that's elevator, right? In French, I want to say. We'll go to Paris for this, just cause. Museum. I don't know what museum it is, but we'll go to Paris. And I put the... My God, my mouse is going crazy. Oh my God, where's France? There it is. Let's just go to Paris. Anywhere in Paris is fine. All right. We are almost back. Let's do one more. We'll do beaches, because beaches... Welcome back if you were in an ad. We're doing beaches now. This looks very United Statesy. Avon by the Sea, or Avon by the Sea, Garfield Avenue. This looks very United Statesy, but I'm not sure. Is it trying to trick me? There's a front plate. I don't know. Okay, the plates look like it. Could be Canada, though. Canada's always trying to trick me into using the US. I don't know where this is. Garfield Avenue. I want to say it's somewhere on the East Coast. Not Bermuda. But something's telling me it's more like Canada. But I'll go with, like, I don't know, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. I'm probably like super wrong. It's probably somewhere like Virginia. I don't know what this is. I don't recognize the plates either. Part of me is like South Carolina now. I don't know. Let's just go Virginia and see. Nope. It was definitely... Is this Jersey? New Jersey? Yeah, it was New Jersey. I think. Yeah, New Jersey. Okay, anyway. Terrible round, but hopefully I can make up for it with some actual sort of expertise here. Anyway, so we already went ahead and imported the CSV. Let's hop over to our Windows machine. We already imported the data through CSV. I'm not going to use that, but you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to use the SQL Server version of the data, but it should look relatively the same. So let's just answer a couple of the questions that we've already answered, but using Power BI instead. So the first question was, oh, here it is. What is the average salary in US dollars for each country? Let's just do a bar chart here first, and then we'll try to see if we can fit that into a map as well. Remove the files. Let's see. We're gonna add country to the y-axis, and then salary US dollars to the x-axis. And instead of the sum, we're just gonna say the average. And there's the average salary. Just so people don't have to keep hovering their mouse, why don't we just go ahead and add some data labels here by opening up this format pane and adding the data labels. And then as you can see, the currency doesn't have a dollar in front of it. So what I'm going to do is actually just going to go to salary USD. I'll go to column tools, and then I'll just format it as a dollar right here. And now we can see that it has dollars. All right, so that's salary in US dollars by country. But what if we wanted to make this a map instead? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this visual as a bar chart, but then I'm just going to click on the, I think it's filled map. And let's see if we can get it to, yep, there we go. So now we have a filled map of all the countries that we have responses in, but this doesn't really tell us much except for the fact that all these countries have responses. What if I wanted to do like a fill color, and I'll do like a gradient fill color. So I'll say gradient here for the fill color in conditional formatting. By the way, let's go back here. This FX is what I click on to get these rules to set up. So instead of count of country, I want to do US dollars. And the one I'm going to use is the views US dollars. You don't have to, you'll only have one of these if you didn't import both the SQL Server and the CSV version. So I'm just going to go here to sum of US dollars. My lowest value, possibly white, and then my yellow can be a middle value, and then this can be red for a lot. And now we can see that we have a lot of red here in the United States area. That doesn't really tell us much though, right? So what I want to do is sort of change this function around to be blue, some sort of color. There we go. So now we have some sort of color, and it looks like just the US has an overwhelming dollar amount, and it's sort of unfair, I guess, for the sort of unfair for the rest of them. Oh, this is sum of salary. Okay, why don't I just do an average? There we go. The average is a lot better now. I can see a lot better sort of distribution. But what if it was still like overwhelmingly red for the US and you wanted to sort of know like, okay, what about outside of the US? Well, what I would do is I would actually just create a small slicer. So I'm just going to create a slicer here, and I'm going to format that slicer to be, oh, why doesn't it let me format anything? Oh, it's when I add the value. So I'm going to add the country field. And then here, what I'm going to do is make sure that this type of slicer is a drop down. Now the drop down will allow me to drop down and save a lot of real estate. I also want to do something by clicking on this ellipse here. I want to turn on search, and I want to turn on in the slicer settings that the selection, you can select all, show select all, and disable the multi-select with control. Otherwise, people are going to have to use the control key to select multiple countries. So I'm going to select all and then deselect United States. That way, it'll show me the rest of the world and what it looks like. And it looks like we have a couple hotspots here in Europe. Switzerland, for example, that's where the average salary is what? 133,000. We have a couple hotspots in, yeah, just Europe. Oh, we have one in Africa, it seems, as well, in Uganda. 114,000, that sort of thing. Australia as well. As you can see, some of these like values are super long decimal points. Same as what we did over there in SQL Server. I'm just going to change the decimal points to 2 instead of auto. And now it has 34,000. Or now we just have two decimal values after the decimal point. Okay, so that's the countries. We'll say here by country. These reports, by the way, are not going to look fantastic. There are lots of other channels that you can watch to get like stunning visuals and stuff. There's Guy in a Cube, there's Data Pairs, which is one of my favorite ones. If you're on YouTube, those channels are going to be right here in the description. I'm not going to focus on the visual stuff, like really cool visuals, because I simply just don't have the time during my stream. I take stuff from start to finish. 95% of your time might be spent making sure the visuals look really nice. And that's all well and good. I'm just here to show you how to get the data in. You can take it from there using the channels below. Guy in a Cube, how to Power BI, Data Pairs, Power BI Park is one of my absolute favorites for that kind of stuff too. And he he does both things. He does the data itself plus the visuals. But my streams are so long, as you can see, my streams are so long and I just cover so much that I'll leave it to you to make the designs visually stunning. There's lots of resources out there as well as those channels. Things like the Power BI themes gallery is really good because it gives you really good ideas for how to visually lay out your reports. All right, let me go ahead and save this. We'll do datasets. I think that's where the folder's supposed to be. Datasets, and then Brent Ozar salary survey 2025. All right, there we go. Let's do a couple more. How many respondents for each primary database type? I think I can just do that here because people can scroll for this. So I'm just going to copy this bar, and you'll notice that I'm using these horizontal bars instead of vertical. Why? Because I don't like using vertical bars if I'm not showing some sort of progression. So if I'm showing responses over time, salary over time, that sort of stuff, cool. If I'm not showing any sort of progression, I don't like using that, because you're using vertical bars, your mind immediately thinks that there's some sort of progress there when there really isn't. So number of years with the database, that I will use a vertical bar. Years, that sort of stuff, no problem. Over time, or number of points as well. But when it comes to like countries, no, that's not something I'm ever going to use in vertical bar charts. Okay, primary database type. Primary database type. That's going to be our legend, right? Or is it legend? No, it's just our y-axis. Okay, so instead of country, primary database. Now we have the average salary, but I don't want the average salary to show there. I'm going to instead drag it down to the tooltips, because what I want is the number of respondents. So the count of ID, I'm going to make that the count of distinct ID. And you can see we have an overwhelming number of responses for SQL Server. Now I'm going to change this, respondents and primary database. So now it actually looks, that's not how you spell respondents, is it? With an E, Sorry, it's my first day. Okay, there we go. And then here I would just say average salary at AVG salary USD. And now the titles sort of get cleaned up a little bit. That's pretty cool. I'll say average salary USD. There we go. Now my map is a little bit cleaner. These are a little bit cleaner as well. Let's do one or two more. Primary data type, we already did that. Job titles. Job titles might be a good one. So let's go ahead and just copy this, cut it, and put it over here. I'm also going to copy the country slicer and go over here instead. I'm going to sync these, so any changes that I make on this page will be reflected on the other page. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to fiddle around with this sort of stuff either. Okay, so here I'm going to change this, or no, I'm just going to create a copy of it right here. And what was the question again? I already forgot. Job titles. Job titles. So job title right here. I'm going to change this to be, oh, my Power BI freeze? Or am I just being, Nope, it didn't freeze. Okay, I'm good. Okay, so here's the job titles. Now you can see that a lot of these, they're cut off a bit, right? That's not good. So let's go ahead and fix that. What we're going to do is go to formatter, and then I'm just going to search for the word width up here. And we can see that the y-axis maximum width, I'm just going to push that all the way out to 50. And now we can see there's a lot more room, but it still doesn't cover everything. So that's a neat trick. If you want to be able to show more, you can always do that with that width. Okay, there's the respondents by job title, and then we can see, if we hover over them, we can see their average salary as well, which is pretty cool as a tool tip. All right, one more. Manage staff and what is their overall salary. That's not what I wanted to open. Okay, how many managed staff? That's going to be a small bar chart, right? That's just going to be a yes or no. Technically, you could use a pie chart, but I don't like pie charts anymore just because all the cool kids don't like them. So I have to be just like the cool kids now. So manage staff, no and yes, and there we go. Average salary for staff managers as well. So you can do something like that. Again, you could turn this into a pie chart if you so desire. It's not horrible. There's only 2 options, and that's usually when I would use something like this. A pie chart is when I have just a few options, but some people just don't like pie charts. So I don't want to offend any pie chart haters out there. That's why you can do them as both. If you're having trouble deciding what to do or what to use, Power BI Visual Vocabulary. Wow, this thing is amazing. If you search for Power BI Visual Vocabulary, if you're on Twitch, I'm just going to go ahead and push it right here on the... does that work? No, it sure didn't. It sure didn't work. Okay, so I have to reset my prompter, it seems. Maybe it'll work over here. There. If you're on Twitch, you can feel free to head over to this link, but it's an interactive version of a visual vocabulary that was built by the Financial Times. And if you want to see like a part to whole, for example, it shows you tons of different examples that you can use. If you go back home and you want to see like change over time, I think, yeah, change over time, it'll show you different visuals that you can use as well. So it's just good for some inspiration if you need that sort of thing. All right, back over here, we're going to do one more. We're not going to open up Automobilista. And I fear that's exactly what I just did, is open up Automobilista, which I would love to play right now, but I absolutely can't. I did one, like how many per year? Yeah, how many per year is probably a good one to use. I don't think I did that. So we'll just do a vertical bar chart for how many by year this time, right? Because we need a vertical one instead. Oh, it definitely opened up Automobilista. Classic. Don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to play, but that's not what we're doing here right now. So I have to take away that, I have to move it from being right next to Power BI. Come on. And the worst part of Automobilista is it takes like 1,000,000 years to load. Can I close it? Yeah, let's close it. There we go. Okay, let's do one more bar chart here, but vertical bar chart this time. Survey year and number of respondents is just a count distinct of the ID. So we'll say respondents by survey year. And then you can also put like in tooltips if you so desire. You can put their salary, like what was the average salary for each year. So we can put that into tooltips. Let's do average. We'll change that to average, and then we'll say average salary in $USD. And maybe, oh, the data labels, we want to make sure we add the data labels. We can even add some ribbons if we want to, so that this looks a little bit better. But for some reason, I just can't get over ribbons. I haven't really found a way to use them like effectively. So I'm just going to leave them there. But if you want to do some cleaning immediately, you can clean up the grid lines. For me, those are usually just not necessary, and it just gives it a much cleaner look. There's, again, lots of other ideas that you can get from all the YouTube video channels. Oh, why is my face covered? Classic. That's weird. I think I know what happened. I like pasted something. Yes. All right, there we go. I'm back. All right, so this is respondents by year with their annual salary if you if you hover over it. But if you want the color of the bars to change depending on the average salary, what you could do is just go to the columns, and then you could have like a gradient based on the salary in USD. So if I wanted the average salary, we could do something like blue, yellow, and red. Red is high salary. So here we had few responders. but a really high salary. And here we had a very low salary, but lots of responders. So that is one way you can look at it. And then you can see the average salary. There's sort of like a legend there. It's not necessary, but it does match the map a little bit better. The cool thing with Power BI, as most of you know, is that if you want to just say, hey, what did 2025 look like? You can definitely just click on 2025 in that graphic, and it'll change the entire report or the entire page to reflect just 2025 numbers. And you can see like the cross highlighting there, Switzerland. You can see 2022, I think this is 2022 results. And to remove that, you just click on the number again and it'll go. Okay, so I think the only thing I have left to do is we analyzed it with SQL Server. We analyzed it in Power BI, and I'll go ahead and share this PBIX with y'all. I think the only thing I have left to do is do the live SQL scripts. I'm going to go ahead and do those offline. I'm actually going to do this stream all over again tomorrow in Spanish. So lots of lessons learned here from the data itself that I'll be able to share with my Spanish viewers. And then I'm going to share the live SQL scripts. I'm going to share the SQL Server scripts. I'm going to share the PBIX, the CSV, everything I can. I'll share it in my Google Drive with all of you. So I'll add that as a task. Google Drive link. So I'll share that with you, and it'll be up with my YouTube video when I do upload it. All right, I'm gonna head out because I gotta go to Epcot. I was supposed to go a while ago, but thank you very much to all of you for sticking around. Thanks to our new followers as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Discord. Here's my socials. You can grab any of my other videos on YouTube as well. There's lots of videos of me doing just different projects, including this one that's going to be up there. If you're watching on YouTube, just go to some of my other videos of different projects. I probably have something about a lot of different things. Anyway, thanks to you all for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the new follows we got today as well. And I will see you next time, hopefully sometime midweek, maybe. If not, then sometime next weekend. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.